I have never knitted before in my whole life, but I really wanted to learn it for a long time. I think it would be so nice to have a self-knitted pair of socks, so that's my goal. To be honest, I have no idea whether that is easy or not, and I have no clue where to start, so I'm gonna do what I always do in a situation like this. I'm gonna watch some YouTube tutorials. Let me tell you about the things I learned so far. There are mainly 3 steps when you're knitting something: the cast on, knitting and cast off. The 2 most common types of stitches are the knit stitch and the purl stitch. They are basically the same. It's a bit like looking on the right and the wrong side of your fabric. Lastly, you can buy many different types of yarn, from different thicknesses to materials and colors. And I think it's like with fabric, you will never know everything, but I think I know enough to go to the store and buy some materials. I'm back, so let me show you what I got. I have some wool made of cotton, so it's not wool, it's yarn made of cotton. And then I got a cord connecting the 2 needles, and in here is just a small needle to thread the thread tails in, I guess. And then I have an 8mm knitting needle because that's what is written on the yarn. So let's do some testing. I'm so excited. This is supposed to be 60 centimeters. Maybe it's including the needle, because this is not 60 centimeters, it's more like 40. It's gonna work. What is this? I guess I won't use it for now. Let's tie a knot, leaving a long tail. I already forgot how it works. This, and voila, got a knot. I'm gonna be doing the long tail cast on. So grab it, around, through, around the needle, on top of the needle, and pull it. Yes! Alright, I have 20 stitches on my needle, so now I'm gonna start knitting. Sorry. I guess it's working. The cast on was easier. I have 1 row of knit stitches, and now I have a free knitting needle again. So now I gonna learn how to do the purl stitch and stitch another row. Go in there. I feel like this is going to look so wonky. Wrap it around. Alright, let's do that another row. I feel like there are gonna be some mistakes in there, but that's totally fine. It's just a test piece. That's why I'm doing a test piece. It's a new day and I already knitted a little because I just couldn't wait. So let me quickly show you what I got. So I made this little square, and at the bottom I just continued to do what I did yesterday. So 1 row of knit stitches and 1 row of purl stitches, and just repeating that. And today I learned a new technique. I mean, it's not completely new, it's basically the same stitches but in a different order. So you're always alternating the knit and the purl stitch, and it's called a 1x1 rib knit. And it was a bit hard to figure out because it always just looked like I was creating ugly knots, but then I noticed that you always have to put the working yarn to the correct sides. I just finished to do the last row on my little test piece, and now what I have to do is a cast off, so basically get the needles out of the piece without it falling apart. I think I'm slowly getting the hang of it. It is a piece. It's a bit wonky. There are some mistakes in there, but overall it's looking fine. I have no use for this little swatch, so I'm actually going to pull it all open again, all my work, because then I can use all the yarn that is in here for my socks. So let's open this up. I'm just pulling. This is so much faster than knitting it. This feels, I don't know, it feels not good to open this up. But just look how much yarn this is. And that would have all gone to waste. Alright, it's all open. I'm just gonna roll it back up and then do the cast on. And I'm gonna cast on 23 stitches because I just have small feet. So let's do that. It is rolled up again, so I can start knitting my socks, and the tutorial I'm gonna be following is very simple because I've been looking a lot for sock knitting tutorials because that's what I wanted to do, but all of them were just so complicated. You had to do the upper part of the sock and the heel flap and however all those pieces are called, and I just wanted to do something very simple. So the sock I'm gonna be knitting is just a square of fabric, and then you close up the edges and it turns into a sock. And I think that's simple enough for me. So I'm just gonna cast on the stitches. I have 23 stitches on my needle. So now I'm gonna do the 1 by 1 rip. So I'm just gonna knit one, purl one, knit one, purl one, and on the second row, I'm gonna start with the purl stitch, and then I'm just gonna repeat that until I have a piece that is 42 centimeters long. This is how far I got by now, and I just wrapped it around my foot, and I think it's gonna be too small like this, so I'm gonna undo all the knitting and start again. Let's start once again. This is how far I got by now, so I'm on to the last few centimeters, and I also learned about lifelines along the way, which are just an additional thread you put right where your needles usually go. And if you do a mistake, you can undo it until that point and just put the needles back in there and just start again from that point, which I think is a really great idea because I have no idea how to undo knitting other than pulling on the thread, and that's just a bit risky to do. So now I'm just gonna knit the last few centimeters and then I can sew it up into a sock, and I'm so excited. This part is finished, and I already took out the lifelines, and it feels quite heavy, and it's also very soft. So now I can close it up, so just gonna take my scissors and cut off the thread. Snip. And now I'm gonna take a tapestry needle and feed the thread in there. And now I have to thread the tapestry needle through here. I really hope I'm doing this correct because I watched the video a few weeks ago and I'm just doing this by memory, so let's hope this is correct. The needle is out and now I just have to pull on it. in the part I'm trying to pull through is a knot because the yarn ended and started again, and it's stuck up here, which is quite annoying. And now I'm just gonna close this up, and then I have a sock. Ta-da! It's done! The first sock is done! Like this, it's not looking like a lot, but just let me take it on. Right, and then I just fold this top over. Ta-da! And it's a little bit too big for me, but it really keeps my feet very warm and it's very comfy, and I'm so happy with it. So I can start knitting the second one. Ta-da! I finished to knit the second panel. All that's left to do is to just sew it together. So I'm just gonna cut off this yarn and close it up. They are finished and I'm so happy with them. They are not looking perfect. I mean, they are my first ever knitting project, so of course they are not perfect. But if you look at them from like a little bit further away, I think they are looking very nice and they keep my feet warm. So that's what counts. So my final thoughts on this project. First of all, knitting is a lot of fun. Like, it's definitely worth giving it a try. I definitely enjoyed it very much. And the second one is I should have picked a different project. Like, making socks the correct way is actually very hard. I mean, I haven't tried it, but it seems to be hard. So I made this simple version, but I think it would have been better to just make something that is a little bit easier. And the project I have in mind that I think would have been like the perfect project to start with is a headband, like an ear warmer headband, because it's a lot smaller, so it's quicker to make, and it's also just a rectangle, so it's easy to make. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel so you won't miss the next videos.